reflect on this one. Jus10 is an artist, a realist, introspective, very authentic. Got different sounds. It just depends on, what type of mood I'm in, what type of where I'm at in life for real. So I really move based off of life. The origins of my career just started 2014. I was in high school, senior in high school. I remember people was laughing at first because they didn't really take me serious because I was supposed to be like an athlete. But I said, man, I just want to start rapping. So I remember just listening to like J. Cole, Drake, Kendrick, Kanye, all the big time artists, just being inspired by the type of music they made. And the people that was laughing when I said I was dropping, when they heard the first song, they was like, "Oh, you can really do this." And I took it serious from there, and it just went through high school, my senior year of high school with that. And then when I got to college is when I really just dove in, recording heavy, skipping class, things like that. But yeah, that's how it all started. That's how my career has also gone, is just being real locked in when it's time to be creating projects and stuff like that. So it really, college, my freshman year of college, really rooted that in me to just record when I'm inspired. So yeah, man, what's crazy? My first memory actually comes to middle school, because I started recording in middle school, but I didn't really know what I was doing. I just knew I wanted to create. But my first memory came from 808s and Heartbreak by Kanye. That's when I fell in love with I don't know, not necessarily the style, but kind of just how vulnerable Kanye was on that. I always loved hip hop growing up. When I was young, I was always around hip hop, but in middle school, that was the first time I was inspired to try that. So I did try to create music. I was creating music 8th grade. I remember people were saying it was cool and stuff like that, it was good, but I mean, it was lying, it wasn't good. But yeah, that's the first time I was just inspired to just make music. With just the different sounds and different melodies, and just I think it was the pain too. You can clearly tell Kanye was in pain on that project, and it was kind of inspiring to not necessarily a diary, but just to write and just discuss your feelings and your thoughts through music. And I thought that was a cool thing to do. And since then, that's when I fell in love with the writing process and things like that. But like I said, didn't really resonate until I was a senior in high school to really start taking it serious. So yeah, I remember that's the first time I actually getting that feeling of inspiration. So that's what, that's 2009. Yeah, 2009. So yeah. So 2016, that was my end of my sophomore year in college. I was dropping mixtapes before then. So it was 2015. I was dropping. I dropped 2 projects, I believe, in 2015, but it wasn't nothing serious. When it really became serious was 2016 with Here Goes Nothing. And between Here Goes Nothing, Lord Forgive Me, Black, Oh I Know These Things Happen, and This Is Goodbye, it was all this time period of my life where, I don't want to use that word, but I guess it's the word to use, naive. You start, it's like with anything, you start something, you had all these thoughts and all these, not dreams, but all these different outcomes you think are going to be possible for yourself, and you're thinking bigger. You're looking at the bigger outcome instead of focusing on the small things. So that era right there was just focusing on being the best rapper that I could be, and that era wasn't really focused on being a man. It was just focused on Jus10 the rapper. You can tell that in the music, and that's why it kind of that era kind of ends off with This Is Goodbye, because I'm not really on that no more. I'm on this type of time now. And I felt that shift in my life. A lot of my favorite artists were shifting too. And I think that's also caused a shift in myself, because I was inspired by these people. But yeah, Here Goes Nothing was, big time for me. When Spinrilla was popping, that was all over the place on Spinrilla. I vividly remember that time period in my life. But a lot of people don't know I was going through a lot, so I didn't really get a chance to feel it. I was kind of numb to all of it. But that really changed a lot. And then that era was just, that time period, Here Goes Nothing, was just me writing music. I didn't really have any plan for that. I tell a lot of my friends, because a lot of my friends, that's still their favorite project. But I tell them all the time, like, bro, I just wrote music, just wrote songs and just put them together. I didn't have no plan with Here Goes Nothing or anything. It was just a collective of songs. That was a lot of songs that were created for me skipping class. Just stuff like that, you know what I mean? I was just really working hard with music and just trying, like I said, trying to be the best. Lord Forgive Me came around in 2017, same thing, just writing music, picking out the best 15, 14 songs, whatever. Then you get to Black, and I know these things happen. That's when the shift started to happen with me mentally, with how my words can affect people and how my words can also affect others and like myself. So that's where you hear the shift in the sound, kind of like more soulful and things like that. And then when Black started to roll around, that's where it was like, all right, cool. I feel comfortable here. Like, I'm finding myself. I'm finding, the type of sound that I want to use, the type of way I want to deliver my words and stuff like that. So you can tell with Black, this is where I was comfortable at. And that's the thing about me, like, when I'm creating and releasing, I'm not really afraid to release stuff that's imperfect. I like to show my flaws in music, and if you can find it, I love when people critique it. So, I don't really have no problems when you hear something that maybe sounds like Afro beats, but then you hear something that's strictly hip hop, or you hear some singing. That whole era was just me testing different things and just finding my footing. And then This Is Goodbye was like a mixture of all of that. When you hear it, it's only a collective of like 7 songs, but it's also, a lot of people know This Is Goodbye didn't mean This Is Goodbye to music. It also meant This Is Goodbye to, Frostburg. I went to college in Frostburg, and that was my graduating year. And that's Frostburg really, like, it really molded me as an artist. You know what I mean? Like, I opened up for Lil Uzi 2016, had a lot of shows up there. All of my, like, biggest shows were at Frostburg. And, like, all my biggest supporters were in Frostburg, so that molded me. So I felt like it was only right to say This Is Goodbye, not only to that era of my life and my creativity and my artistry, but also to, the people that support me to this day, and also the people that gave me that confidence, and also, just believed in me, still believe in me to this day. So that's all that was as well, was I felt like a era, a chapter of my life was closing, and it was time to, take that next step. Man, some of my goals during that whole time period was just to show people I was the best. You know what I mean? I wanted to prove that to others, but then also want to prove it to myself. That's why I worked so hard. I was very blue collar with music in that time period. Like, nothing came before music. A lot of things in my life, I lost a lot of things in my life because of music. I just gave so much to it, and I just wanted to keep just working. You know what I mean? And that's just outside of music. That's something that was just instilled in me growing up. Was just if I'm gonna do something, try to be the best at it, and always give it my all. So in that time period, that's all it was about. You know what I mean? It was literally just about strictly proving myself to others, and just proving myself to myself that I can do this, and that I belong in this type of space. And even just thinking back at it now, I just remember it's kind of crazy. You know what I mean? I put a lot of people on the back burner, put school on the back burner, there's things that actually mattered, and I just was pumping out music. People would tell you, I was pumping out songs pretty much every week, pumping out projects every 3 months, just doing all types of things. But it all led to the right path for real. But that's all that journey in that era was about. There's a lot of things I would actually do, but the main thing I would do is take my time. Back then, I really valued quantity over quality, because like I said, I was trying to prove myself. So I was just trying to just drop, nigga, this is what I just did, here it go. You know what I mean? But not let me actually process this, and what am I trying to tell myself? So I was just pumping out music, and I really tell myself to take my time, and actually enjoy life a little bit more, because now that I'm in this position now, I'm understanding that enjoying life a little bit more helps the artistry. Also, I wouldn't force inspiration too. Force inspiration kind of like I can't even listen to some songs from back then, because it's you forced that. You know what I mean? It sounds good. People may not be catching what I'm catching because I'm the one that did it. But to me, I kind of cringe a little bit at certain things because I was just forcing inspiration. I was forcing types of things. Or some of those songs to actually be in my vault. Some of those songs shouldn't be out. Like I said, I never shy away from criticism, never shy away from, failing. So that's why I'm still on platforms and stuff like that. But it's the little details. I would just say focus on those, even when it comes to sound, even when it comes to how I portray it, or the type of message, or deliver this message better. The things that I'll focus on now, and the way I take my time now with projects, and actually craft and hone in on, songs, or take time with songs, take days with songs, or come back to them instead of just saying this is it and let's move to the next one. So those little details I focus on way more. I would tell myself to focus on that and just live life a little bit more. To just, get that real, true inspiration from life or experiences. So I feel like that would have really changed a lot of stuff. But like I said, I wouldn't have had it no other way though. So yeah, workflow definitely changed. Like the advice I would have gave myself for era 1, I started taking that advice in era 2. You can hear it with the projects, like really can tell it was very detail oriented. Like self-care had a whole message outside of music. It was really like just calculated and planned out to a T. And after I executed that, I feel like really well. I executed that very well with just merch, everything. I took that forward with everything else, and now kind of like put that in my back pocket, put that in the back of my mind as well. And I just learned from that. So that just changed. I became very detail oriented. Very selective with songs, you know what I mean? So I kept songs in the vault. I didn't try to force songs out just to have them out because I thought they sounded good. I wanted to make sense. You hear Here Goes Something, which came out 2020. Same thing. I wanted to make sense. I wanted to be different than Here Goes Nothing. I always knew I wanted to do like a trilogy or like a series or something like that, but I didn't try to force it, you know what I mean? So it was just really just being focused and locked in on the project and the message and the bars and everything behind it, rather than just having a collective of songs. And that's where we started crafting projects and learning how to do it. Actually stepping out of my comfort zone and having people work with me too, instead of being isolated creating music. Self-Care was all produced by one producer that I work closely with, and also had the help of my brother as well. So just stepping out of my comfort zone, having people involved, also helped me as well. And I took that through that whole like journey, that next 3 years. With God happened too. I remember writing that project. I was probably working on that, just writing for 3 to 4 months. And then I said, all right, I'm done writing. Now let's focus on the recording. And then I said, all right, I'm done recording. Let's focus on who I'm gonna get on this project. And then, all right, let's focus on mixing and mastering this project, rather than try to do it all at once with one song. So it just kind of became very organized in that aspect and detail oriented. It all worked out. It taught me a lot, and things that I'm not only teaching myself, also helping others with that too. So yeah, that whole time period was just more like mature, I would say, as an artist. So yeah, my personal growth, like I went through a lot of things in that time period, and I think like my personal growth really affected the music in a positive way. Because I was kind of forced. I always wrote music when I felt away or was going through something. But the types of things I was going through, I was kind of forced to put that into music, because that felt like the only person I could talk to. And in general, that wasn't the only person I could talk to. But as an artist, that's just how you feel. You can express yourself through music. But it affected my music in a positive way. But you look at the things that just came out of that. You know what I mean? Like people still talk about self-care to this day. People still talk about Digital Age, like the song and like how impactful that is. That's a song that I was talking about social media and like how addicted we are and like stuff like that. 5 years later, we all still feel the same way. Performed it at one of my last shows, and everybody singing it word for word. It's like that's the impact that came with it. So you look at God Happen, you know what I mean? Like that's personal growth, but that's also spreading the message of God is real, and let me tell you why, because I've been through these things and I'm still here. So it's just stuff like that really just affected the music, and then also affected just me in general. Like I could say my personal growth affected the music, but really in general, also in theory, the music affected my life too. So it kind of played hand in hand with each other. And it's just like, even with stuff I'm working on now and stuff I released after that, it's just all these things I took with me and learned from, and just yeah, it's kind of crazy when you think back at it. Like it's been 6 years, 5, 6 years since I've done these projects that we're talking about. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So yeah, I learned a lot about myself in this era because I learned that I actually do care about others like more than I thought. Because like from the previous era, I was just really focused on myself. But I did learn that like the impact of my words, because when people come up to you saying, "Oh, how much this song did for them," or how much this performance might have did for them, or how much whatever, that's when it started opening my eyes and just learning the impact of my words, and just trying to be careful with my words too now, because people are actually tuning in and listening. So it's kind of like your word is bond for real. So that definitely was a big thing for me. Then another thing was like, damn, I'm a fucking good storyteller. Like when you listen to self-care, when you listen to God happen, it's like you sitting there, you like, damn, like I did this, like I wrote this fucking book, you know what I mean? So that's when I really learned, like, damn, this pen, I can really do something with this pen. Like, I really took that to the next step. I talked about, I learned also I could talk about anything, because shit get uncomfortable when you listen to God happen. And like stuff I'm talking about on there, it's like, dang. You know what I mean? I don't think a lot of people are doing this like this way. It's like saying stuff that you probably wouldn't hear people say. So yeah, I learned those type of things about myself, and then also getting that feedback when people are hearing the uncomfortable stuff. It gives you confidence to continue to talk that way and continue to rap that way and speak on certain things. And yeah, I just started to like take that to the next level with music, like just being different in that realm. Just talking about. It could be just about my day, you know what I mean, and people actually enjoy it. So yeah, that's what it was for real. So it's going to sound crazy, but that era of 2021, like starting in 2021, a lot of my favorite artists dropped that year in 2021. You had Cole drop, off season, top of the year pretty much. I think it was like either April or May, could have been a little later. But then you had that whole Kanye Drake beef. And they was like kind of trying to outdo each other. So me being the competitor that I am, I'm like, well, let me hop in on the fun. You know what I mean? Let me see what I can do, even though I'm not up there with them. But it was kind of like, let me line my shit up with them too. So I got in the studio. First, I met one of my best friends now, Tommy. Met him. And we started locking in the studio and just creating. I started to hear different sounds that he can do with my voice. And I was getting inspired by that too. So I just started writing like crazy, like heavier than I ever wrote probably since 2016. Just going crazy, just knocking out songs, stuff like that. So I was getting inspired by hearing a new style with my voice. I was also in a new place, like a new studio. I've never been really to a studio like that. I always recorded by myself or recorded with my brother kind of, but like being to a new studio as well gave me new inspiration. And just being around, I met so many different creatives in that studio. Like, I can't really list them all, so I'm not going to try to, but I met so many different people, so many different types of artists, sitting in on their sessions, just drew inspiration from, there's different type of people from all walks of life. And yeah, like, that's what happened when we started the Cancer Man. It was all from sessions that we just did from, 2021 through 2022. And come to find out, I was telling myself a story about, me becoming a man. And then, you look at Here Goes Anything, which was right after that. Same thing, but this time I kind of locked the studio door now, so it was just me and Tommy. But, I just drew inspiration from, things that happened after that, what I mean? Like things with my parents, things in my personal life. Like this whole 2022 was just really crazy, for real. So that's where the inspiration drew from that. But then, like I said, just like from the previous era, just learning that I can tell a story, I kind of took that with me to this era and kind of locked in on crafting projects in that way and telling stories in a unique way, saying things that other people probably wouldn't say, but just really focusing on that. But I was really just inspired by it. It was kicked off by my favorite artists really being locked back in and seeing like they was on their shit. So I said, all right, cool. Y'all back on y'all shit, that means I gotta get on my shit because I'm inspired by y'all. So just seeing that again, and the projects, all the projects I heard in 2021 from my favorite artists were great to me. So that's also was inspiration too. Just hearing hearing them in that bag, man, it was like, dang, this is real refreshing because hip hop was in a bad place. But just hearing all that, being around different people that I'm comfortable with, and just being in a different studio, and just also being in a different space in life, just going through things, and as a man, you know what I'm saying, developing more responsibility. That whole era it was kicked off by just that for real. So yeah, that's what it was, and that's how I was inspired, and that's what led to those projects in this time period. So the first way I started elevating that my introspective, like writing and stuff like that, was having people in the studio. That was like a big thing for me because, like I said, I've always been isolated creating music. I've always been locked in with just one person. So having like 4 or 5 people in the studio that I don't know, that's going to tell me like the truth, like, oh man, you probably could have done this better, or add this, or add that. That really helped me too because, you know, it was things I wasn't thinking about. You know what I mean? Just sometimes when you're a rapper, you just focus on rap. You ain't really focus on how it's going to connect melodically or sonically. You just focus on the bars. We away from the bars now. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, we just are. So just having people helping me craft my melodic tone, and there's all types of things. Like it's shit I can do naturally now because I've learned. It's helped me, but also when you sitting in the studio and you just like having barbershop talk, you can call it. And you just talking, you know what I'm saying? You hear what your man's going through, or you hear what his man's going through, and that's kind of like inspiring you to tell some sort of story about yourself. So just being around different people and just hearing about life. I remember just many times we were just in the studio around that time when I first got there. We were just talking about life and what people were going through, what I was going through. It's like no music playing. We just sitting there having like a unpaid therapy session type thing for real. And that really inspired like my pen to tell stories about myself, or tell stories that for others that they can't necessarily do through music. So yeah, that's all it was though. Just things like that. And then now when you come into this last project, it's really just inspired by like one of the craziest things that's ever happened in my life. You know what I'm saying? See my parents go through what they go through, what they're still kind of going through. So just seeing that, witnessing a lot of people that you create with pass away, you know what I mean? Like, or stuff like that. It just inspires you, man. And I don't really go into the studio anymore with like any fabrication. I go into the studio with real stories and about real people, man. And that's all I care about now. That's all I started to care about when you talk about the cancer, man. It's just, this talk about life. You know what I mean? Talk about the struggles of life, or sometimes the happiness, the highs and lows, everything. So yeah, I think me establishing like myself as an artist and as a brand, it kind of started with self-care. So back to like 2019 when I was being more open about myself and what I would possibly be going through at that time. So when I started opening that door, like you look at those shirts, those steps, those tips you saw on the back of them self-care shirts, that wasn't just something I made up. That was shit that I actually practiced. And I said, hey, I'm gonna put this on a t-shirt, I'm gonna show people. And then when people reached out to me, it was like, oh, can I buy this? I was like, y'all want this shirt? Like, this wasn't part of the plan. So when that happened, I started establishing myself, my brand in that way. The brand isn't really necessarily Jus10. It's like, this is Jus10 and his scars. And that led to every other project. Look at God Happy and the merch with that. All the merch really is not, it's not like commercial merch. I don't know if that's the right term, but like commercial merch, just putting stuff on t-shirts. Nah, it's stuff that's branded with my pain or the things that I go through and stuff like that. And when people look at that, I think they look at it as vulnerability and sensibility too. And that's kind of been my brand now, just kind of just being real, like not afraid to say shit that, like I said, like people are probably afraid to say. And then even now, just establishing myself as a community activist, that started, really in 2020 when everything was going on with George Floyd and everything like that. What's crazy is I actually want to talk about this shit. I'm glad the camera's actually on because I'm starting to get a little pissed. So when Black dropped, I remember niggas was hitting me up like, hey, bro, like racism ain't gonna end. Like, I don't think you don't gotta make music like this. Bro, it was my fucking birthday too. So, I was legit pissed. I'm starting to think about it. But then, with the shit that really like, when it comes to, like, activism and helping in the community, the shit that really pisses me off is that the same motherfuckers that was hitting my lineup, like, of course people love black, but you have some other people that don't want to hear that shit. Cool. Don't fucking play it. I get it. But when things happen and social justice becomes the trend in 2020, now you out here, I ain't gonna name no names, now you out here on Instagram popping shit because it's cool. Like, don't do that. So that whole situation really inspired me to go harder, which is why I still talk about the same things that I talk about in my music, which is why I still try to step up and do things, is because that's always been me. That wasn't just me when I started a protest in 2020. That wasn't just me because it was cool. That was me because I've been doing that shit. You go back to college, went around the whole Frostburg, all the black families that lost their homes because the white school bought the land. You know what I mean? Interviewed all the black families in there when they sold their house for $7 to the fucking school. You know what I'm saying? This is shit. When niggas called my phone in 2010, I ain't sit there and say anything. Oh, cool. All right, cool. I appreciate that. All right, thanks for reaching out. But nah, this is the fuck I'm saying now. I've been doing this shit and I'm always be doing this shit. So that's what inspired it too, because I've always been on this type of time. African American Studies minor at school. Always been interested in it and stuff like that. So when I got to 2020 and really saw that I can do a protest, I said, cool, this is what I'm gonna do from now on. Every time I can step up and do something, whether it's through the church, whether it's just through friends or whatever, anything, that's what I'm gonna do. And even now, like just doing those things, like even the clothing drive I just had, just something. I feel like I can always do something. So whether it's something big or small, I'm always do something. I've always been doing something, even if I don't talk about it. And my bad, I got a little pissed off. I just started thinking about it when people are like those conversations that we had, and that turns out to be the same people that, you know, try to be all trendy and stuff like that. They don't even say shit about it no more. So yeah, that's really what inspires me though, because I feel like what really inspires me is that I feel like people only care for about 2 days and then they're back to their life. So I feel like I gotta continue to like push that message forward, because it is people that look for me to say something or do something. So I always try to do something, even when I'm not even good up here to do something. I always try to find a way to do something because it's important. Because it is people that give up. You know what I mean? Nobody even talks about George Floyd no more. Nobody talks about Sandra Bland. Nobody talks about anybody. Trayvon Martin. Nobody cares. I don't even know if we're gonna have another black president. So it's just things like that. I don't think there's nobody striving to be a president in that way and make change out here. So yeah, I gotta do my part, and that's what inspires me. And that's also like that chip that I got on my shoulder too. That's something I never really let go of. Is when people are saying these things, or like they don't want to hear music like that. That really pisses me off, because especially when it comes from a black individual. Like, how could you not want to hear shit like this? How could you not want to be educated? So I don't know, man. I feel like I'm kind of rambling a little bit, but that definitely rubs me the wrong way. And that's why I go harder with my message, because it's like people don't want to hear it. So let me go harder and push it. So yeah. Man, I want people to like, when they hear trauma and heartbreak, I want them to hear that I left nothing on the fucking table, man. Like, I did everything, I said everything that I can do on this project. Like when you hear it, man, you gonna know it's special. But I want people to know that not only that I leave everything on the table for this project, but like as an artist, it's everything is laid out there. You can go from here goes nothing. You can go to every project and just see the growth. But you can also hear my story. You can also hear nothing is fabricated or anything. It's all facts. It's all things I can go back and tell you about where I was at in my life, why I wrote this, why I said that. But it all comes together without giving too much. I just want to say it all comes together in the end. So yeah, man, I want people to really like see the hard work I put in. I will hear the hard work I put in, but also when they hear the music, I want them to also know that I know God, and God is in my life. I want them to know a lot of that stuff. But like I said, I don't want to get too much out with that. But when they hear it, I want them to know that, you know, this is real, authentic, and it's coming from a real place. But